all stand? May I call on Miss Isabella to lead the prayer?
So let us pray in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Almighty God, bless us as we start our class today. Help us to focus our minds so that we can easily understand our lesson. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, good morning, class.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, before you sit, please pick up the piece of paper under your chairs. Okay, you may now sit. So, is there any absence for today's class?
No, ma'am.
Wow, very good. Perfect attendance. So, before we are going to proceed in our lesson for today, let me introduce first the objectives of this lesson. So, at the end of the lesson, the students will have been able to identify the objective case, apply different methods to determine what type of object is used in a sentence, and participate with zest and enthusiasm in every part of the lesson. So we have already discussed about the preposition. Am I right?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay. So before we move on to the next topic, let's have a recall of what is a preposition. Anyone? Okay, Mr. Al Nathaniel.
Preposition is a word used to link nouns, pronouns, or phrase to other words within a sentence. They act to connect people, objects, time to a sentence.
Okay, very good. That is the perfect definition of a preposition. So now, can you give me the main purpose of a preposition? Anybody? Okay, Mr. Allen.
The main purpose of using preposition is to allow the noun or pronoun in the phrase to modify words in another sentence.
Okay, very good. Now, can any one of you give me an example of a preposition?
And at, and
At, on. Okay, very good. In, at, on are the common preposition that we always use. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now let's move on to the next topic, which is all about the objective case. But before we go deeper into our lesson for today, let's have first an activity. It's called Unscramble the Words. Each number has an equivalent words that you are going to unscramble, okay? Okay. Now let's use the wheels of the name, and if the arrows stop in your name, then you are going to pick a number from 1 to 4. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now let's start. Okay. Mr. Al Nathaniel, so you are the one, or you are the first who are going to pick a number. Okay. Now, what number do you want?
3.
3. Okay, let's see what you've got. Okay. Now, can you unscramble that word?
Object, preposition.
Very good. That is correct. It is an object, a preposition. Okay, next. Let's have... Okay, it's you again, Mr. Al Nathaniel. Okay. Okay, keep quiet. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, what number do you want?
1.
Okay, 1. 1 and 3 are already open, am I right?
No, ma'am. So, 1 lang. 3 lang.
Okay. Now, can you try to unscramble that word?
Direct object.
Very good. It is a direct object. Okay, next. Okay, Miss Isabella. Okay, can you pick a number between 2 and 4?
2, ma'am.
Okay, 2. Let's see. Okay, now can you try to unscramble that word?
Indirect object.
Very good. That is an indirect object. Now, the last one, may I call on? May I call on Mr. Allen? Now, can you try to pick? Okay, since there is only one number that you haven't choose, which is the number 2. Am I right?
4.
4. Okay. Now, let's have the number 4. Okay. Now, Mr. Carl Allen, can you try to unscramble that word?
Objective case, ma'am.
Again?
objective case.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. That is an objective case. So maybe you are thinking why I have this kind of activity. It is because this is connected to our topic for today, which is all about the objective case. Now, what is an objective case? Okay, Miss Isabella?
Objective case is the case used for nouns, pronouns that function as object.
Okay, very good. That is correct. Very good. Objective case is the case used for nouns, pronouns that functions as object. Very good job for that, Miss Isabella. Because in objective case, it is applied to words that function as object, which is the recipients of the action. In objective case, nouns and pronouns function as direct object, indirect object, and object of preposition. Now, let's move on to this one. What is a direct object? Anybody? Okay, Mr. Al Nathaniel.
The direct object is the thing being acted on by the verb.
Very good. That is correct. The direct object is the thing being acted on by the verb. And always remember that it answered the question who or what received the actions of verb. Now, for better understanding, we have here an example. Can you please read?
Jenny cuts my hair.
Very good. Jenny cuts my hair. Now, what is the subject there?
Jenny.
Very good, Jenny. How about the verb?
Cuts.
Cats. So we already have the subject and the verb. Now let's try to find out the direct object. What is the direct object in that given example?
Hair.
Hair.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am.
How about the word my?
My hair.
Okay, what is really the direct object in this example?
Hair.
My hair.
Okay, very good job for that, IG. So the direct object of this sentence is my hair. So maybe you are going to ask me, why is my hair? Since it answered the question what Jenny cuts, which is my hair. Okay. Now let's move on to an indirect object. Now what is an indirect object? Anyone? Okay, Mr. Allen.
The indirect object tells to whom the action is done.
Okay, very good. That is correct. So indirect object tells to whom the action is done. It is very understandable, and for better understanding, we have here an example. Okay, can you try to read?
Helen gave her friend a pair of earrings.
Okay, very good. Now, what is the subject in that sentence?
Helen
Okay, Helen. And how about the verb?
Gave.
Gave. So now we are already have the subject and the verb. Now, what is the direct object of that sentence?
Her friend
Earrings.
Earrings.
Again, what is the direct object?
Earrings.
Earrings. Very good. How about the indirect object?
Friend.
Friend.
Friend. Very good. So, friend is our indirect object here since it answered the question, to whom did Helen give her pair of earrings? Which is to her
Friend.
friend. Very good. So always remember that one, that the indirect object tells to whom the action is done. Now let's move on to an object of preposition. Now what is an object of preposition? Okay, Miss Isabella?
So object preposition is the noun or pronoun in a propositional phrase.
Okay. It is the noun or pronoun in a prepositional phrase. Now we have here an example. Can you try to read?
Everyone at the meeting was surprised.
Okay, everyone at the meeting was surprised. Now what is the prepositional phrase over here?
Everyone
What is the prepositional phrase?
At the meeting.
Very good. At the meeting. What is a prepositional phrase? I mean, what is a preposition in that sentence?
At the.
Are you sure?
At.
At. Very good. At that is the preposition. Now, how about the object of preposition?
At the meeting.
Okay, anybody? How about the object of preposition? Raise your hand.
Meet.
Okay, raise your hand. How about the object of preposition? Okay, Mr. Allen?
Meeting, ma'am.
Very good. Meeting is our prepositional phrase since it is a noun in a preposition. Meeting is our object of preposition since it is the noun of the prepositional phrase. Am I right?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay. So, do you have any questions about our lesson?
No, ma'am.
Not so far.
Okay, none so far. That's good to hear. So since you don't have any questions in our lesson, now let me ask you this question. What is the three objects that we discussed earlier? Okay, Mr. Alatanya?
Direct object, indirect object, object of preposition.
Very good. We discussed about the direct object, indirect object, and the object of preposition. Now, how about what do we call to the noun or pronoun that acts as or that function as an object?
Objective case.
Very good. An objective case. So, okay. So, do you have any question?
None so far, ma'am.
Okay, none so far. So, okay. And by the way, class, always remember that in a sentence, there can be a direct object without an indirect object, but but in a sentence, there can be an indirect object without a direct object. Okay, always put that in mind. So since you don't have any question, now let's move on to our activity. I guess you are all ready for our activity now. So let's proceed to our activity for today. So I will give you 5 minutes. Okay, so you are going to find your pair. Since this activity is by pair, so I will give you 5 minutes to finish this activity. You are going to write one example of indirect object, one example of, the first pair, which is Isabella and Al Nathaniel, you are going to write an indirect object example and the direct object example. And you, Mr. Carl Allen and Miss IG, you are going to make an example of the object of preposition rather. Okay? Is that clear?
Yes,
ma'am. Okay, so I will give you 5 minutes to finish that one. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, okay, good job for that class since you were able to understand our lesson for today. And before we end, let me give you first an assessment if you can really understand well about the objective case and the three objects that we discussed. Okay, you are going to finish this one within 5 minutes. Is that clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, get one and pass. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pass your paper in the center aisle. Okay, so do you have any question?
None so far.
Okay, very good. And by the way, tomorrow, don't forget to bring a newspaper. Since we are going to identify an objective case in those newspapers. Is that clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay, do you have any question, any clarification?
No, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So, since you don't have any questions, I guess let's call it a day. Goodbye, class.
Goodbye, ma'am.